himself last night when he was interviewed by all the network news guys, Brian Williams, etc. He realizes himself, one of the big things people are unsure about with him is he really a patriot? You know, the William Ayers thing. There's an exotic thing about him, and it's not just the black thing, it's the Hawaii and Indonesia, and people can't who lives in Hawaii? I mean, you know, it's like, I guess...
You mean the 50th state or the 49th state?
I know, exactly, but you think of, you know, luau's or whatever, there's sort of, you know, it's you came from the south side of Chicago. John McCain came from, well, actually, he was born on the, wasn't he born on the...
Panama Canal.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Hillary was out there. She was a Methodist from the middle of Illinois. And also the black thing, too, with the Reverend Wright. That's people are uncertain. They feel like, who is this guy? You know him. How do you allay people's fears that say to you, Governor Patrick, you're a big supporter of this guy, you know him. Why shouldn't I be nervous about these things?
Well, it's a very important question you just asked, but it has less to do with Obama than appreciating where we are as a country right now. I mean, you know, I did the Dorchester Day Parade last. Have you ever done it, by the way?
No, I know they blocked the traffic. I was in a big. They closed down the exit to 93.
I'm sorry for the inconvenience. I trust there will be flagmen blocking the traffic.
Let's hope so.
No, but I was walking with Mayor Menino the whole length of it, and we started down in Lower Mills, and we ended up at up by Columbia Road.
The Red Line Station.
And the mayor said to me, you know, in the course of this parade, we will walk through Ireland, Vietnam, Cambodia, and I can't remember where, and Haiti, I think is what he said. That's America right now. And that makes us rich. You know, once upon a time, you used to walk probably on that route through Israel or Russia, and Ireland, and you know, a host of other places. My point is that we have been a nation of immigrants for a very long time, arguably from our origins, and trying to appreciate the new complexion of the country, and that variety is our strength. Is an enormous challenge, but I think a great opportunity for us as well. You know, this really is a global economy. It's true. It's real. Now, capital is globalized. It moves very easily. Labor, less so. There are a whole lot of issues that presents. But the fact is, if we're able to harness the variety that we have here in this country and use it to help build our own cultural competencies, I think is the term. Imagine how that enables us to move and operate in different settings all around the world.
Can we return from the world just for? I'm sorry. Can we go back to the mundane for a second, or do you want to stay there?
Well, I think the thing is, the Hawaii really thing isn't the big thing with him. The big thing with him, let's face it, is Reverend Wright and the whole idea that he doesn't love America and that he's, you know, and is what's his name said to Jon Stewart, that what he really wants to do is becomes president and enslave the white race kind of thing. It was a joke, but you know what I'm saying? That's some people I think that.
Well, yeah, I hear that, but as I've said, I think on this program before, you know, sooner or later we're going to have to appreciate that Reverend Wright is not the candidate.
Right.
The candidate is Barack Obama. Beyond repudiating Reverend Wright and resigning from the church, I don't know what else it is we expect him to do. Barack Obama is bringing his own love of this country and his own wise policy positions and leadership to bear, and that's what I'm supporting and doing so enthusiastically.
Let's come back to Massachusetts.
That Barack Obama has to execute Reverend Wright, don't you?
I think that is in a public setting. Let's come back to Massachusetts. You mentioned the administrative costs of health care. We just passed the second-year anniversary of the universal health care thing. The good news is only 5% are uncovered. I guess the bad news to some levels, so many people are signing up. It's costing, what, $150 million more or something than you budgeted. How about the cost-cutting side? It seems to me that and I mean this intentionally, the scam on the people of Massachusetts when Romney and my hero Ted Kennedy and others signed this thing was, the good news is we're going to get people covered or uncovered. The bad news is we're doing nothing about cost control, which means we're doing virtually nothing for the 95% or 90% of people who have health care. How are we ever going to address those issues which matter to all of us who've had health care forever?
Well, Jim, first of all, I think you're exaggerating to make a point, but the point is still important. It's not true that we're doing nothing, but it is true we have to do a whole lot more. The things we have done that have made a difference. And I talked about this when we were at the Healthcare Summit the other day. The fact that there are more people covered means fewer people are getting their care paid for from the uncompensated care pool,
which was an add-on to people's insurance costs.
Exactly,
right. Okay.
which means that the cost to that has gone down, and frankly, we have used that money to help pay for the subsidized care. That's exactly right. Overall, even in the private market, thanks to the pressure that is brought to bear by more people having health insurance, and some of the work that we did and that I did, frankly, last year in talking with insurers to try to get their rates down. Rates are flatter, not flat enough, not flat. And not dropping yet. But rates of increases, even in the private market, have not been as high on average as they have been in the last few years. Now, there are two very important initiatives, or a number of initiatives coming from two very important sources. One from the Senate President, who has a bill pending right now that has a lot of great ideas in it, and we are working with her and with the House to try to get that bill passed. We also
which would mean real reductions, or at least smaller increases in health care premiums for people who buy their insurance.
It would mean, as a start, a reduction in the rate of increase.
Okay.
That's the start, and I don't want to sugarcoat it, but that's a big start, because if you're dealing with 10% year over year or more, year over year in a very short time, you're out of healthcare is out of reach. The other initiative is something we call the Healthy Massachusetts Initiative, which Secretary Bigby, our Secretary of HHS, Health and Human Services, is leading, and it has a host of very important initiatives in it as well. There's a big thing, an idea that both the Senate President and Secretary Bigby are beginning to have come together on, and I think can have a real impact, which has to do with how we reimburse for health care costs, and basing that, or taking into account outcomes, quality outcomes, and not just a sort of a piecework kind of way of doing it, so that if you are not reimbursing, for example, for what they call never events, staph infections, or operating on the wrong the wrong hip, that kind of thing. And these things do occasionally.
Imagine that. Oh my God.
Well, yeah, I got a bad hip, so I would really be upset.
Yeah, better put a big X on it when you go into the hospital.
But the notion that there would be financial consequences for reimbursing providers for failed or substandard health outcomes and service outcomes could be transformative, and it's a very different way of thinking about how we reimburse.
Can I ask you two very quick healthcare questions that I think are one sentence kind of answers? Is it preposterous to say that the state should consider putting a cap? I'm not a fan of Prop 2.5, but a cap on the increases that insurance companies can charge every year, and let them figure within the confines of that, in state statutes that say you have to provide X, Y, and Z, how they meet those numbers.
It's not preposterous, but there's a different way of doing it. And you asked me for one sentence, so I'll
second and last thing. And Terry Murray's bill is a ban, an outright ban, the only one in the country, on pharmaceutical company gifts to doctors. Big debate in the medical community. If it makes it through the House to your desk, what do you do?
I don't know, Jim, because frankly, I know there's a big debate, but I haven't focused on it at all. I really haven't. It's I just have other stuff I've been concentrating on.
Okay. Back to the calls with Governor Deval Patrick.